Hello, everybody, and welcome to another My Music. If you've been waiting for this live today, sorry, that's my fault. A few minutes extra because tech sometimes just breaks. And when it does, you have to mend it. So I apologise for that. If you're listening to this on repeat at some point, you're thinking, well, I don't really care about that because it's live now, wherever it is that I'm listening to it. I'm going to be speaking to my special guest, Mikalyn, any minute now. But after this. There you go. This is actually my first of two music things that I'm doing today. If anybody else is about, if you're watching this live, if anybody else is about later today, we have an Instagram live as well on Faye's account. So we have Faye Friday live later today with a couple of special guests as well. Shell Music will be on, and so will Paul from the wonderful Daniel Takes a Train. Who is going to be reminiscing about 35 years of making hits. But that's for later. For now, say hello. Do introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mikalyn. I'm a singer-songwriter from Canada. And I'm super excited to be here. I've been putting out music for quite some time now. I do indie pop and EDM, so it's kind of a weird mix. But yeah, that is me in a nutshell.
Is it a weird mix, or is it just fantastic music?
I hope it's just fantastic music. That's the goal.
When did it all start for you? When did you catch the bug of writing music?
I was very young when I started writing music. Like, all of my first songs were trash because I was 7. So, yeah, I was a baby. I always had a very active imagination, and my parents put me in music lessons. I've always loved to sing, so singing and piano lessons from the ages of 5. And when I was younger, we'd go to school and there'd be like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I'd always say like a singer and an author, a singer and an author. And then by 7, I figured out I could combine those two and become a songwriter. My first song that I remember was called Lollipop Land. It's terrible. There's like a recording of it somewhere. So bad. But everyone starts somewhere. So yeah, I started pretty young just because I've always had an active imagination.
Did that ever, in then growing up, did that ever hit a wall at any stage? Did because like when you're young, people will foster your imagination and allow you to go with that and be experimental. But was there ever a point in that developmental growth where someone said, now come on, time to grow up and follow a path which might lead to work and stuff like that?
Yeah, I'm very lucky. I have a very supportive family and very supportive friends. So I never really had anyone from my circle say that to me. I've always like had my parents' support, which I know is very different from a lot of other artists. And so I think that I'm definitely very blessed in that aspect because I've always known I wanted to do music. And I also had such incredible teachers that like prepared me to study at like post-secondary music schools, helped me with all my auditions, trained me in a bunch of different kind of genres and styles. So I was really lucky that I didn't really have anyone say, no, don't. Like of course I'd have people like even in the music industry be like, this has to be your plan A and then you have no plan B. Like this has to be everything for you if you want to make this work. Because if you don't, like if you have a plan B, then do that instead. It'll probably be easier. You'll probably have a better like time with it. Don Grierson actually was the one who told me that. And So I didn't ever have anyone advise me against doing music. I would have people in the industry tell me about their experiences, but they've always been very supportive.
Brilliant. What's
Mhm.
been the most difficult thing
Um,
in terms of, learning to hone your craft as a songwriter? What's the bit that you've struggled with the most?
yeah, I think honestly, balance can be hard at times. For me, I'm a full-time student. I do music also full time, and I also want to balance like having a healthy life, having a healthy lifestyle, getting sleep maybe would be nice.
It's
And
overrated.
so yeah, exactly. Um, I think that can be a little bit challenging, is making sure that you set time apart to work on your craft, to work on your music, but also you should set time apart to play it because you enjoy it, to do it because you like feel like it, with no pressure on it. And I think sometimes when you're living a busy life, it's easy to kind of choose the like viewing it only as work and doing it only as work. Like, oh, I need to practice. Oh, I should practice writing songs, because you have to practice writing songs. Like, I'll sit down and force myself to write. But that's different than doing it for fun, you know? So making sure you have time to balance both.
Yeah. And it's not just about learning to balance or find the fun part again, time after time, about the music side of things as well.
Mhm.
It's also, I guess that it's a thing that people struggle with, full stop, not just in music, but in other areas of life. And I think lots of people out there listening, even if they're not a musician, will resonate with this. I think in a day and age where everything comes at us fast, and we're trying to work faster and faster and be more and more productive and whatever with our time, I don't think we allow each other enough time to just think sometimes, right? I think
Mhm.
sometimes you just need to be out of doing things and perhaps just doing something completely different in order to have something to then write about.
Mhm.
Yeah. Do you find that?
Yeah, I 100% agree. Like, I think if I didn't find time to spend time with my friends, if I didn't find time to read, I would be a worse writer because I'd have nothing to write about. That was a big factor in me choosing to pursue like post-secondary education in music, because I was like, I could just dive in instantly and that would be awesome. A lot of my friends are doing that and they're doing so great, but also I could go and try to get as many lived experiences as I can, that I can then turn and write about. I like it's sometimes I feel like I'm doing field work for songwriting. Like I'm always listening for my friends to say something that I can write a song about.
Yeah. Well, but I think that's the best way forward.
Mhm.
As somebody that works with people on social media,
Mhm.
and that's what I do. Um, One of the things that people constantly come to me for is they say, "Oh, I need content ideas. I need content ideas." Right? And I said, "Stop trying to have content ideas." Right?
Mhm.
Because literally anybody can just fill the void with anything. Right?
Yeah.
It's easy. I mean, we can type into Chat GPT these days, fill the void for me, and it will fill the void for you. But it will be meaningless stuff
Mhm.
that's filling that void. And I try and get people to realize that they need to turn that the other way around and say, look, focus on the activity, right? Go out there and do the stuff. Do the stuff that makes the world a better place. Do the stuff that makes things happen. You know,
Exactly.
live the actual dream that you have. Then you'll have content, right?
Mhm.
And for a musician, I think one of the great things is if you're writing great songs and you're crafting great songs and you're taking time over those songs, just showing people the process, that's great content. If you're
Mhm.
if you're playing concerts and you're developing your sort of live craft, that's great content. People love seeing all of that.
Mhm.
Yeah. But if you're just like sitting there going, oh, I'm writing music, but I've also got to have time to create all of this content, then you're gonna get stuck.
Exactly. Yeah.
So good. That's good that you're focusing on that. When you start to write, where's the starting point for you?
I think it really depends on the day. I feel like I have a few different processes, and it also really depends on if I'm writing on my own or if I'm writing with someone else. And if I'm on my own, I'm just looking over at my guitar right now. I'll pick an instrument usually. I'll have a general topic in my head, and for me, a lot of the times I'm melody first. So I'll come up with a random melody over random chords. If I like it, I'll start to like mumble gibberish over it, honestly, and try to kind of formulate the theme that I kind of pre-thought of to the song. Sometimes lyrics will come first. I'll like come up with like maybe a few lines, but usually then I'll like go look through my voice memos and find like a melody that I'm like, yeah, that, and then mash them up that way. But when I'm writing with other people, either I'll come to the session with a few different ideas, or they'll come to the session with a few different ideas. We'll pick one, and then usually start with laying down the track, and then after that, same type of thing where I will be like mumbling gibberish, doing a few different melodies, and we decide together which melody we like, and then we'll really get rolling with the lyrics.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, the interesting thing that you said there was the gibberish bit.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people do that. I think a lot of people just want to focus on the sounds first and then try and find the words that really kind of fit into that later on. In doing that process, have you ever left any of the gibberish in?
I have turned it into ad libs a lot of the times, actually, because sometimes it like is really nice filler behind like the lead vocal. So I'll do that, and sometimes it just sounds so cool. It already sounds like an ad lib. So we'll keep them a lot of the times, like, and then just put them somewhere else. It's kind of cool to put like weird effects on it and that type of thing. Like it can be really fun.
Do you know what? And people love that, right? Because when you listen back to it, that's the kind of thing where for ages people like listen to it and they're going, I'm sure they're singing, and actually you're not singing that at all. You're just literally making sounds, but it's like, what?
Yeah.
I'm sure they're singing something very poignant there, but no, it's not. It's just sounds. It's great.
Exactly.
What's your favorite kind of music to listen to in terms of production?
This is such a good question that I have been thinking about a lot lately. I feel like I listen to so many different genres. Like I'm the type of person that has like a playlist for every single mood. I think my overarching go-to is chill indie pop or like chill bedroom pop. I just tend like I've always loved it. I think I'll always love it. It's like a constant in my playlist. And that would probably be my number one for sure.
It's a kind of music that fits into so many different parts of life, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, I've been listening a lot to like the Japanese house.
I love them.
Right?
Yeah.
At the moment. And I just think you can, I mean, this is going to sound rude to her, but it's not at all, honestly. You can fall asleep at night to that, but you can also like work to it, but you can also just really sit and listen to it and find little, especially with the production on that, you can really just deep dive into, oh wow, that's going on in there. Is that the same for you?
Yeah, like I feel like I'll have it on when I'm cooking. I'll have it on when I'm walking. I'll have it on when I'm cleaning my room. I'll have it on when I'm going to bed. Like it's a very malleable genre, I think. Indie pop especially can like be really applied in anything, any situation. Like I'll listen to it when I'm studying. I can listen to it in, like you said, any setting at all, really.
Mm.
Mhm.
Do you kind of gravitate to music where the voice is very much an instrument as well? You know what I mean by that? Where
Yeah,
actually, you know, I mean, if you listen to her stuff, if you listen to like the last 1975 album or anything like
yeah,
that, the voices are being used as much as the instrumentation in just creating a kind of
yeah.
ambience. Yeah.
Yeah, I really, really love harmonies. Like I love backing vocals. I love full vocals. My favorite song of all time, one of my favorite songs of all time, is Cherry Colored Funk by the Cocteau Twins. And so it's like
Oh,
that song. That song is incredible. I know nothing of what they're saying. I have no idea the words. That doesn't matter because it's just so beautiful.
yeah.
So yeah, I think using the voice as an instrument, that's actually a really great way to put it because a lot of the songs I listen to aren't even in English. I just like how the voice sounds. And
Yeah.
I like the soundscape. It's so cool.
The whole, I'm so glad you mentioned Cocktail Twins. I mean, Liz
Hmm.
Fraser's voice,
Hmm.
especially, I mean, that period of Cocktail Twins as well, when she was just beginning to come away from maybe just where she just used a lot of weird sounds
Hmm.
to there, you know, she'd sort of like skip bits of English, bits of French into the song, and it
Yeah.
was just it flowed between this kind of gobbledygook French, English, blah, 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 whatever, and you're almost it's almost like you're kind of like falling in and out of consciousness. You're
Yeah.
not quite sure if you're fully in the song or you're dreaming.
Yeah. Such a gorgeous song. It's like, yeah, it's probably my number one song of all time.
Wow.
Mhm.
Wow. So that's got an open question to it, which is, you know, if you could work with anybody, live or dead, who would that be and why?
Ooh, that's a really good one. Off the top of my head, I would really love to work with the artist Marina because she was probably the biggest like influence on my early writing. I became a fan of her really young. She was the first artist that I was like I think truly a fan of. Um, I was in like grade 5, so I'm trying to think of
What was the
what.
first Marina song? What was the
Um, I think the one that made me find her was from her album The Family Jewels, and it was Are You Satisfied?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, so I found that song and I was like, I love you now. And
yeah.
like listened to all her stuff, stalked her Tumblr, tried to find her MySpace. Like I was a little bit behind the MySpace era. I was a little too young to have it. But she had it and she posted on it and I found like all the old archives. Um, and so I think I would love to work with her just because she influenced me so much. I think like especially my earlier writing, when I started taking writing really seriously, she was probably my biggest musical influence, you know? So I think I would love to meet her, let alone work with her.
Mm.
Mhm.
That was that whole era. That was funny. I remember when she emerged onto the scene, and the press kind of tried to kind of almost make her like the antithesis of Florence and the Machine.
Mm,
I don't know whether you remember that. They was kind of like,
no.
who's the best here, Florence or Marina? And it was like, yeah, it was kind of almost like they set them like dogs,
Yeah.
akin to each other. But actually, they're so good in their own right and
Yeah.
different in their own right as well.
Exactly. Yeah. And I remember on Tumblr too, like poor Marina's been pit against everyone. It was like you had the Marina fandom and then you had the Lana fandom and then you had like the Melanie Martinez fandom came in a little bit later and the Halsey fandom came in a little bit later. So it was like these four main fandoms that like were all friends but all also had like a favorite and would be like, yeah, I love them all, but like Marina's better. Or like it was just like it's so Tumblr, so we were all like 14, like 12. So
Just on that, the music press has always kind of done that with female artists, which is I find a little bit strange. Just kind of try to, you know, pit certain strong women against other strong women. How do you feel about that? I mean, would you see any competition amongst your peers? I wouldn't have thought you would.
I don't. It bothers me that that's a thing, and that's definitely a thing even in smaller artist communities. I think I've always kind of been this way. I'm not sure if, like, I don't know. I can be competitive when it comes to board games, but like when it comes to music, I feel like it would be so much more productive and helpful to befriend people that understand what you're going through, that understand how difficult the industry can be, that have the same goals as you. Isn't that what we want in friendships? Like people with similar values, you can have fun together, you can go to shows together. You know, I feel like some of my best friendships have been made because of music. And I think the way that it's kind of framed to pit people against each other, it's very unhelpful. I think it just kind of creates stagnancy. And I think if we work, this sounds so cheesy, but if we work together, I think that it would be way better. I think there's too much gatekeeping of knowledge in music industry. That's another big thing that bothers me a lot. Yeah, so I definitely think I've seen people come a long way, especially in the smaller artist communities. You know, I grew up in a place called Guelph where there are so many talented, especially folk artists, and there they help each other out. But I've been in other situations where I'm like, guys, why can't we be friends? Like, hello, we're all here doing the same thing. And I get that a little bit of competitive nature is healthy, but I think when it's overtaking everything, that's when it becomes a problem.
And at what cost? I'll introduce you afterwards to some people that are trying to make a difference in terms of the way that women are represented in pop music.
Yeah, I love that.
Who you know have created some groups to collaborate and try and help women to, you know, because let's be frank, that and it's one of the reasons why, if people want to know, it's one of the reasons why we have so many great female artists on this show, is because they're still massively underrepresented in the world of music, and we need to change that. Tell us a little bit about where you live, because you say you're from Canada.
Yes.
What's Canada like in terms of your type of music and the scene there? Is it good for the type of music that you're making, or are you finding your audiences elsewhere?
I am finding that my audience is elsewhere. That said, I'm very grateful to have grown up in the Canadian music scene. I think it is a very supportive environment. Like, competitive natures aside, I actually haven't really experienced that as much in the Canadian market. I think there's so many amazing music educators. There's so many opportunities. A lot of like cities, like for example, I grew up in Guelph, which is very folk oriented. We have a music festival, and we have like Kiwanis festivals, and we had a choir that I was in for like years and years and years. And then now I go to school in London, which is like undergoing all this new infrastructure to become a music city. They want people to come and kind of treat it as a hub for independent artists. And they just put on, we had this thing called Indie Week last weekend, and they did a music festival with all independent artists, 3 days, 4 venues, music all night. It was incredible. And I think like that type of thing is really, really cool to see. I think for my genre specifically, I definitely have more of an audience in the UK, and Brazil and the US. Those are my top 3 countries. So Canada's not even on my top 3 for Spotify for artists, which is funny. But yeah.
So with that in mind, when are you hitting the UK?
I really want to as soon as possible. I was actually looking into it. You know, Canada and the UK have a good relationship with work visas. And so I was looking into possibly when I'm done school, I'm in my last year right now, working for a little bit and then actually moving to the UK for a little while.
Where would you choose? Where would you choose?
I have some friends who live in London, so that would be the easiest choice. I think, for in terms of like living costs. Because I'd have people that I could instantly split rent with, so that's a big thing. But yeah, I really want to travel, and I think what better way than to travel and work on my music. But yeah, I would love to come live there for a bit, and I also would like to just come visit as soon as I can, as soon as I'm done school.
Oh, there you go. Listen, if there's any UK promoters that are listening, just be thinking about that for the future.
Okay? Yeah, let me know, guys.
Start the balls rolling now. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we'd love to get you to the southwest as well. Over near where we are, near Bristol, Exeter, somewhere like that. That'd be great. We've got a very, very vibrant music scene in Bristol, which I'm sure we can hit you up with some Bristol artists to come and do stuff.
That would be fantastic. Incredible.
Listen,
very fun.
It's been brilliant talking to you today. Let's get down to the really important thing, because people now know a little bit more about you, but what they want to do is they want to investigate your music, of course, because they now know you a bit better. What have you got out at the moment? You've got something called Prisoner, right?
Yes, so that's my most recent release. It's like an indie pop single. It's kind of cohesive. I feel like my Spotify has two different sides. It has EDM top blending stuff that I've done over the years, but then there's some songs that are, I think, a very good representation of me and my sound, and those are more indie pop based. So that's like Prisoner, Phases, Blame, I Love You Too Much, Ready to Love You is a little bit of a hybrid.
I'm going to cut that "I Love You Too Much" in, and we'll put it in together somewhere. So
cool.
Anyway, that's brilliant. Right. So where's the best place for people to connect with you? Where is it that you hang out social media wise, that you would say, right, okay, actually, if you connect with me here, I might even be able to say hi to you, because that's my mental space.
Yeah. I use all social medias. My Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all of the above are all at Mikalyn Music. So that's MIKALYN Music. That's the good thing about having a kind of weird name, is I get the same username on all platforms. So you can find me there. And then on streaming services, I just go by Mikalyn, just my first name. So you can find me there as well.
Well, do it, folks. Please do go and check out, if you haven't already, check out Prisoner. It's out there now. Stream it to your heart's content. If you like it, don't just stream it, add it to a playlist, and also tell our artists that you do like it, because otherwise, they don't really know. So what I will say is, because you've been on this show today, we are now going to add one of your tracks to the My Music Podcast playlist, which then gets circulated by the various musicians that come on. So are we going for the latest single, or are we going for something else?
I'd say go for the latest single. I think that's the most accurate representation of me as of now.
So we'll be adding that as soon as we've finished. We'll be adding that, and look out for some little clips from this particular talk. We'll circulate on the Instagram and wherever else over the next week. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me. This was really fun.
Really love your music. It's fantastic, and I'm looking forward to being able to expand my what I fall asleep in bed with at some stage with an album of yours.
Thank you. I hope so. I have other recommendations until then.
Oh, okay, go on. Before you go, one other recommendation. What should we be listening to right this minute?
Okay. I'm racking my brain. There's so many amazing artists. I'm really into this artist that I actually met at a songwriting convention, and her name is Beeson. She just released an EP. I've been listening to that a lot, so go check that out.
I'm going to give you an artist, because this might be something I think that you like. I want to recommend you to go and listen to Rosie Plain.
Rosie Plain. Perfect.
Rosie Plain.
Plain.
Yeah, if you haven't listened to Rosie Plain before now, I just think go and listen to Rosie Plain's latest album. I think you will love it.
Perfect.
You can let me know afterwards if you do, and you can as well, folks.
Awesome.
There we are. That's been fantastic. Another interview for today. I hope you've enjoyed this. This has been Graham Cove with my music. If you've enjoyed it, please do share it with all of your friends, your family, and everybody else out there in the world. If you haven't enjoyed it today, why? Just why? Why bother here? Why bother coming? Just don't. I expect everybody that's here is actually enjoyed it. Until next time, thank you so much for coming on, and thank you for joining us all.
Thank you for having me.